Welcome to Mono Tutorials. In this session we will be continuing the Cyberpunk Car Timelapse and focusing on the Unwrapping UV process. First we will look at general UV considerations and optimization approaches. After that we will look at quick bakes in Substance. Let's jump in. With the asset done, we can start looking at unwrapping the UVs. This allows us to apply 2D texture onto a 3D asset. In this asset's case, I will be aiming for one material, as assets should have as few materials as possible in order to reduce draw calls, and therefore be better for overall performance. For most of this asset, I use the Mark Seam approach to the asset, and then standard tools after Unwrap UVs in the Unwrap UVs section in Blender. I make sure that I apply the transforms beforehand to make sure that all the UVs are the same scale. Otherwise, the texture may seem different across the overall asset. Some elements could be slightly bigger or smaller, but it is generally recommended to keep all UVs at the same size so that the texturing doesn't have any weird effects, especially in the case of baking and high quality detail. As I want to utilize more texture for less of the asset, I looked into different approaches. You can see how the UVs are significantly smaller on one texture where there is no overlap. The examples here show the red polygons and orange UVs have been duplicated and overlapped, meaning that these areas have more texture space in the texture, therefore having higher quality, at the cost of less custom elements as they are the same texture. When you mirror the asset right down the middle, the UVs are significantly bigger, allowing for more detail in the texture. But this also means that the texture is mirrored, which for an asset like this can look a little repetitive, especially if I wanted to add dirt or damage to the car. If the detail is very obvious, this can make an asset look less interesting and/or less professional. I decided to flip the side and mirror a lot of the underside. This would allow me to optimize the UV scale, but also offer asymmetrical detail on some of the asset if needed. Every asset is different, so considering all options and approaches to unwrapping your UVs is a great way to make sure you get the best results. Mirroring down the middle of an asset can lead to some strange issues with normals. More so if you are using GLBs in Unity spaces. FBX assets do seem to have less issues with this approach. As I did not use mirroring down the middle for this asset, I won't cover the workarounds to improve the result in this series. That said, I still needed to find an approach to make the GLB work in Unity with the duplicated polygons that I did use. I will look at this in the next tutorial in the series. Always try to utilize as much of the UVs as possible in order to get the best results out of your texture space. If there are large areas of your texture that do not have UVs, you are wasting the file size and reducing your potential quality. As with previous time lapses in this series, the video will keep rolling at 10 speed. Jump to the next marker for the next section of commentary. I will usually do a quick unwrap and bake. In my case, I use Substance Painter over the course of the process to get a better idea of how the high polygon detail gets baked onto the low polygon texture. This allows me some very clear results to refine either the original high polygon asset or the low polygon asset. In some specific cases, I may need to rethink the design, where in others, I have to rethink the baking approach. A quick bake also points out other issues such as flip normals or misaligned polygons that make baking clean results difficult. As noted, I went with the mirrored side approach for making the assets UVs, as a neat balance between increased UVs in the texture while still allowing for some customizability. In the next time lapse, we will look at taking our unwrapped low polygon asset into Substance Painter for final baking and texturing. Thanks for watching, and happy building!